Welcome to the Root of Power podcast, where I teach you how to chase your joy, find alignment, and create a life and a business that you love, using actionable methods, interviews, and inspiring stories from people who know that true freedom is found within. I'm your host, your always hype woman and sometimes ass kicker, Amanda Chills, and I am so proud of you for choosing to step into your power. Come along, we've got dreams to build. Okay, my love, I have put everything that I offer for free on one page so that we are not doing more work than we have to, because why would we do that? Hashtag work smarter, not harder. So livemyhappyhealth.com/free. You are going to find everything I've created for not only leveling up in your personal life and building a life that you love, but leveling up in your business life and building a business that you love. Okay? livemyhappyhealth.com/free. Love you. Hi. I was working with a few people in an organization, and their supervisor was telling me that he was like, I know who you work with because they all start going, hi and bye. And I'm like, I'm just an influencer. So my hope and dream, one of my hope and dreams for this podcast is that people start going, hi and bye. And also setting boundaries and living their best life. But like, I like that really sneaky one. So if you find yourself doing it, like, welcome to the club. You're welcome. You're my people. We're connected now forever. Hello. Hi. I hope you're well. I hope you are thriving. I hope if you are not in that space that you are getting there and things are clearing for you. And you continually feel better and stack the good and love the good and only find more and more and more of the good. And if you're not there yet, you will be. Keep doing the work. The work works. I wanted to talk today about the trap that is external validation, aka why you should be so obsessed with yourself that it doesn't matter what other people think. So something that I hear a lot about me, like feedback that I hear a lot, is people are like, you just don't care what anyone thinks. Like, I wish I could do that. I wish that I wish that I just didn't give a fuck what people thought. And I'm like, great, just start doing that. Like, do it. Like, how do you chop down a tree? You pick up the axe and you keep chopping. Like, it's the same exact concept. And I'm like, okay, just stop giving a shit what people think. Obviously it's not that simple, right? Like, there is a process to that. So what happens when people get in this like trap of external validation, like needing other people to validate your ideas, your worth, your brilliance, your enigmaticness, your looks, your whatever, right? Is like, if you're always looking for someone to feed you, you're always starving. Okay, that was really good. I'll repeat it again. If you're always looking for someone to feed you, you will always be starving, because what you actually need is to feed yourself. So like, I will get into this work with clients, like particularly if they're coming from a really like abusive household or an abusive relationship where they want their partner to reassure them and they want their partner to validate them that they still want to be there. They care about them. They're pretty, they're worthy. They love them, whatever, right? And that feels good for about a second. And then their brain gets back into it where they're like, but they don't really, what if they don't? They're lying, whatever. And so they'll get in this trap where their partner is constantly reassuring them and they're constantly asking for it. And they don't understand why their cup is never full. And it's because if you're not giving it to yourself, if you're always relying on external validation, you have a hole in the bottom of your cup. So it doesn't matter what people pour into it. It's always draining out of the bottom. You are the thing that plugs the hole. You are the thing that like keeps that water in the well. Now, is external validation nice? Yeah, 100% it is. Like, I want people obsessed with me 24/7. And I want people to remind me that I'm pretty and I'm smart and I'm brilliant and I'm good at what I do, and that they adore me and they're obsessed with me. Like, welcome to Leo energy. It's all about me. I'm a Pisces though. And so like, yeah, external validation is wonderful, but if that's the only thing feeding your soul, you will always, always, always feel empty. You will always feel starving, and you're going to get into this dynamic where you're begging because people get tired of doing it, right? It's not my job to tell you what you're worth 24/7. Now, I don't mind reminding you and saying like, hey, like you did a really great job here. Like, yeah, like I do want to be with you. Or, hey, you can do this. Like you are worthy. But if that's my full-time job, imagine how energetically draining that is. Not only because I'm having to give, but because someone who has a hole in the bottom of their cup doesn't even believe what they're hearing. Because if they did, they would keep it, right? So there's this part of your brain that's like, yeah, they just said that. They only said it because I asked, and it's not real. If they really thought it, they would just say it, which is toxic as fuck anyway, and unhelpful as fuck. That's not even true. Like if you ask someone to do something for you, they always have a choice to do it or not do it. So the fact that they do it means they want to. So we'll just park that where it is. But the problem with relying on external validation is that you don't even believe it because you're not giving it to yourself. And if you're not giving it to yourself, then your nervous system doesn't take it, it doesn't receive it, and it doesn't keep it. It's just literally, it's like pouring coffee into a cup that has no bottom. You're just pouring it into a PVC pipe. And then you're like, why isn't there any coffee in this pipe? It's because it has no bottom and it's a fucking pipe, not a cup. Okay. So external validation feels like that. It goes one ear and it goes right out the other. It goes through this pipe that has a hole in the bottom and nothing stays in it. So you wonder why you're constantly seeking reassurance, reassurance is really the right word. That's why, because you're not giving it to yourself. You need other people to tell you, this is a good idea. You're doing well. You're not a garbage human being. Like there's people that exist that are worse than you. Maybe you're actually a good person, but you have to give it to yourself. So the way that we do that is like, you may hate this, is by doing it. So you tell yourself, this is a good idea. I'm a good person, or I'm not the worst human being on the planet. Like Jeffrey Dahmer existed. So you're, I hope, not eating people. So you're at least not as bad as he is. Ron DeSantis fucking exists. So like, are you doing those things? Nope. And human traffickers exist. Are you trafficking humans? Nope. Cool. You're not the worst person on the planet. So you start giving yourself that validation. And what happens is now you plug that hole in the bottom of your cup, and the things that people say and the things that you say and start to believe, because a belief is just a thought repeated, stays in your cup, and you feel full and you feel whole. And if I'm never lacking, because I know exactly who the fuck I am. I know exactly how good my decisions are. I know exactly how brilliant I am, how worthy I am, how good of a partner I am, how good of a therapist I am, how good of a coach, how good of a business owner. Like I know exactly how good I am. And I know my faults, right? That's not me saying I'm perfect. I'm God's favorite. Although if, if my business coach is listening to this, like I am God's favorite. That's not to say that I'm not aware of where I'm lacking. It's just to say that I know how good I am and I act and I charge accordingly. Charge energetically, charge money, charge whatever. Like I don't need other people to tell me because I know. Now, if you've been in a space for a long time where you have been lacking or you've been taught that you're never allowed to acknowledge your strengths or how good you are, then that statement is going to feel like it's going to hurt your nervous. It's going to hit your nervous system like a friggin' goat just headbutted the shit out of you. That's only because there's a really big gap between where you are sitting now, or perhaps where you were sitting, and where I'm sitting. Like I was very lucky as a kid where like my parents thought the rainbow just shined out of my ass. But what that did is instill like a lot of healthy internal validation. Now you may be like, wow, you're really overconfident, but like that's a wound that you have. That's not on me. Okay, that's your wound getting triggered. That's the goat punching you in the legs. Like you ever seen someone like get rammed by a goat and they fall? Like that's why it's hitting you that way, because you've been taught so differently. You have to be humble. You have to be modest. You can never talk about the things that you're doing. You can never brag about anything, right? Those are all traps that keep you seeking external validation, because validation is a human need. We all want to be seen, heard, and like loved. Someone seeing you is validating you. But if you're never seeing yourself, if you're never hearing yourself, there's a lot of consequences to that. So a lot of the things that I see happen is that people have no confidence in their abilities, in their skills, in their in themselves, right? Like if you are never acknowledging the good things that you're doing or the good qualities that you have, again, it doesn't mean ignoring the bad ones or the problematic ones or where you're falling short. It just means also acknowledging the good. You're not only acknowledging the quote unquote bad. You're not going to have any confidence. You're not going to have any confidence in your ability to make decisions and your ability to do things because you're literally never acknowledging where you're good or where you're amazing or where you're brilliant. And there are many, like everyone is good and amazing and brilliant at something. So if you're never acknowledging that, you're going to have a really hard time seeing it when you come up against a challenge, when you have to make a decision. So what happens if you rely on external validation, if you are never validating yourself, you have a big confidence disconnect because you're never telling yourself that you can do things, that you're good, that you're worthy, that any of those things, right? So you're like, you just think you're a terrible human and you're stupid and you don't know and you can't do. Like, I can't tell you how many people I work with where I'm like, that's literally not true. Like, you're doing a ton of things. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I'm like literally looking at you do things. And then the confidence starts coming, not only because they're doing more things, right? The process of healing requires that you do a lot of things, but because they're finally acknowledging what they're doing. They're finally giving themselves credit. Now, that doesn't make you an arrogant asshole. But if you've grown up and like, you're never allowed to speak up, you're never allowed to brag, you're never allowed to talk about what you're doing in a positive light, then it's going to feel like arrogance because you're finally giving yourself the validation that you've been so desperately seeking. Because everybody needs validation. If you can't get a need met by yourself, you're going to get a need met through other people, but that creates a very problematic dynamic. So what happens is people don't have confidence in their decisions. They don't have confidence in their ability to do. And so they're relying on other people's confidence, but that puts you in kind of an interesting power imbalance, right? Because if you're relying on someone else to tell you that you're okay, what you're doing is okay, to give you permission, it automatically puts you underneath them, which puts them in a position of power over you. And most people aren't going to have your best interests at heart with that. They're going to manipulate you in a way that benefits them, but it doesn't benefit you. So that's one of the reasons that you'll see, or perhaps you've experienced, people who who don't know how to validate themselves get into these relationships where a power imbalance exists because they live and die and breathe by that person's evaluation of them. And if their goal is to manipulate you, if their goal is to use you, their evaluation of you isn't going to be honest. It's going to always be in their service. So if it behooves them to build you up, they're going to do that. And if it behooves them to cut you down, they're going to do that. And it's always in the service of manipulating you. But if you're living and breathing and dying by their word instead of your word, you're going to end up in a really problematic at best and dangerous at worst place because you actually need the internal validation. It also disconnects you from your body, right? If you're not acknowledging anything about you that you're doing, if you're chronically seeking external opinions of you and taking on those opinions as your own, not only are you going to get a ton of conflicting information because everybody's perspective of you is different, you're going to believe everybody. So you're going to be really confused. Like, there's a lot of people I work with who are like, but they say this and they say this and they said this and I don't know what to choose. I don't know who to believe. And it's like, well, you need to believe yourself. You need to believe what you're saying, what your body is telling you, what your body's telling you instead of what everyone else is telling you. So like if I ask 10 different people if I should be an entrepreneur, I'm going to get, maybe half and half answers. Maybe depending on who I ask, right? Am I asking people who've been an employee for 50 years, who love their employer, who would never dream of being an entrepreneur? Then I'm going to get a lot of no's. Am I asking 10 entrepreneurs who are successful? I'm probably going to get 10 yeses. Am I asking 10 entrepreneurs and all their businesses failed? I'm going to get 10 no's, right? So it really depends who you're asking. And if you're not filtering that, that's a huge problem. If I ask people if I'm worthy, if I'm pretty, if I'm good, if I'm smart, and they don't want to admit it because their ego's in the way, or they think I'm stupid, or they think I'm ugly, or they think I'm bad for whatever reason, like, and I'm not aware of the filter that they're using, I'm going to be so confused, and I'm not going to be any farther towards making a decision or coming to a conclusion than when I started, because I'm not asking people who are like representative of anything. And it doesn't matter what other people think or know for you. It matters what you think and know. So it keeps you disconnected from your body, and it keeps you very confused because you're listening to all this noise, all this conflicting information, instead of listening to you. Now, that's a specific skill set, right? So like, that's something I'll be teaching this year. So Hala Masterclasses, look out for that one. We'll be teaching on embodiment, which is, you know, the art of living in your body and making decisions from your body. So if you're listening to all this conflicting information, you're going to be super confused. But it's the same with external validation, right? People are giving you all this feedback based on them, their filters, their history, their shortcomings. They may not even see you accurately, their trauma, and you're taking it as gospel for you when you may lead a completely different life. What they say may have no bearing on anything that you're doing. I can't tell you how many people are like, you can't have colored hair and be a therapist. What? What does the color of my hair have to do with a damn thing? You can't have tattoos and be professional. You can't do therapy on a farm. What will people think? They're going to think I do therapy on a farm. Who cares? I could do therapy naked in a hammock and still be freaking good at what I do. Now, I'm not going to do that, but like, it'd be your lucky day. So other people's filters are absolutely going to get in the way of giving you feedback. And if you live and die by other people's evaluation, you're going to have a really hard time. You're never going to be confident. You're going to be disconnected from your body. You're going to make the wrong decisions because you're basing them on other people and their shit instead of you and your shit. So if you wonder how people like will go their whole lives and end up in a life that they really don't like they wake up one day and they're just like, oh my God, I hate this. Turns out like I want to run away from everything. One of the drivers to that is that they've been making decisions not based on what they actually want. They care too much about what other people think, which is in a nutshell, external validation and wanting that. You care too much about what other people think. Now, is that to say, like, don't ever worry about what anyone says of you? No, like that would be ridiculous, right? I'm not into living on either side of the extreme. What I'm saying is filter and use discernment and make sure when you're asking for feedback that it's valuable, that it's true for you, and that the person can even give you feedback in what you're looking for, right? Like I know that if I have a big business idea, I'm not going to talk to someone who's terrified to do anything new because their feedback is fucking useless. It doesn't matter. They're just going to tell me, don't do it, you'll fail, because that's their fear. They can't give me a pizza if they don't have one. They can't give me confidence if they don't have one. But if I have a big business idea, I'm going to talk to somebody who's brave. I'm going to talk to an entrepreneur who's successful in whatever way I determine success to be in that moment. Like, I'm not going to ask people for feedback who I know can't give me the feedback I'm looking for. Now, that doesn't mean I just want everyone to agree with my ideas, although like part of me just does want people to agree with my ideas and be like, oh my God, you're so smart and brilliant. But it means that I talk to people whose feedback is even valuable. Like, I'm not going to ask someone who has a gambling addiction about the stock market. I'm sure as hell not going to ask them about poker. Like, I'm not going to ask someone who's never owned a cat about a cat. I'm not going to ask someone who has only ever been in abusive relationships or shitty relationships about my relationship. Like, they don't know. They don't have the information I'm looking for. So it's not that I never seek external validation. Like, listen, words of affirmation are my love language. Like, I literally all the time want to be told that I'm great and I'm pretty and I'm smart and I'm doing a good job. Like, we definitely have a little bit of a praise kink, okay? But I filter that validation. Like, and I give it to myself. I know that I'm doing a good job, that I'm intelligent, that I'm worthy, that I'm good at XYZ, that whatever, I'm plugging the hole in the cup. So that way what I say stays. And the majority of my validation comes from myself. That's why I don't often need it from other people. Do I want it from other people? Yeah, sure. Again, praise kink. Do I need it? No. So if you're in a space where you're like, I need validation to keep going, like you have a hole in your cup, and it's because you're not giving the validation to yourself. And that puts you in a prison according to other people's whims and how other people need you. Because if you, again, live and die by external validation, it benefits someone to use that to their advantage. Now, does everyone do that? No, but a lot of people do. And you don't want to be in that position where you risk your life because somebody can manipulate you because because you don't know how to validate yourself, because you live and breathe and die by their word. That's not okay. Like that's its own form of a prison. So giving yourself validation sets you free because you don't need other people. It's nice if they're there. It's nice if they add to your cup, but you're already full, right? So that.
Hey, boss.
Oh, hang on. That's my dad. Do you need me right now? Or can you wait a second? Everyone say hi to my dad.
You're with somebody on the phone.
I'm filming.
Hmm?
I'm filming.
No, I don't.
Hi.
Hi.
Say hi. Everyone say hi to my dad.
Can I go here?
No.
I need to go.
Can you go in my bathroom, in the bedroom?
I want to see what you need there.
Oh, okay. Well, hang on like 5 minutes.
No, it's okay. I'll be back.
Okay, bye. If you're ever wondering if taking messy action is worth it, like it is. Welcome to the podcast where we don't care about being perfect and I'm not editing out shit. It just is. Like we're okay, we're happy, we're fine. That was my dad. My bathroom, my little office is leaking from not the bowl, whatever the tank. Yeah, the tank. Okay, good job, Amanda. The tank is leaking just a little bit, so he came in to check it. He just would come in when I'm filming a podcast episode. Thanks, Dad. You're the best. So external validation, right? So most of what I said is all that I have to say, but let me wrap it up for you. If you are never validating yourself, you are a PVC pipe. And what you want to be is a cup. Okay. You want to have a bottom. You are that bottom. You want to be so full that whether people see your worth, don't see it, validate your idea, don't do it, you still know what you need to know about yourself, about your ideas, about your abilities, about your capabilities, about how things will work out. Like I have never worked with a person, and I have worked with hundreds of people who didn't know their own answers. Okay. They thought they didn't because they've been taught that they don't know anything, which think about who that benefits. Okay. It's not you. If someone is constantly telling you that you don't know anything, that you need them to be an authority, that you make bad decisions, that doesn't benefit you. There's a reason they're doing that. And it's because it makes you easier to control. If you think you know nothing, if you think you're always going to screw things up, you're always going to place your authority in somebody else. That does not benefit you. That is not okay. So when I work with people, we have to heal that. They always know. You always know what you need, what's best for you, what's the next right step, what's in alignment, what's out of alignment. You may not know how to access it, but you always know. So once we get you to a space where you're full, you're no longer making decisions from a place of fear or scarcity, which is where external validation and that trap gets you. So we're going to be doing a masterclass on that. Keep on the lookout for that. But I would love to know your thoughts. Is this something you've experienced? Did this hit you like a goat headbutting you? Did any part of this trigger you? Like, do you agree? Do you disagree? Like, let me know. I love talking about these. I love when people message me and they're like, hey, this really resonated with me, or like this podcast episode is so powerful, or like, I didn't agree with this at all. Like I welcome that discourse. And if you want to work with me, the show notes has opportunities for that. So remember, you validate yourself. I can do this. I'm capable. I'm worthy. I am smart, right? I am kind. I am whatever. I am is one of those powerful statements. Like, use it to your advantage. And remember that, like, you want to be a cup, which means you're the bottom, right? You fill, and then we don't need other people to do it, which means we're never outsourcing our authority to other people, because that does not benefit you. People who do that to you do not have your best interests at heart. They just don't. So holler, be good, have a wonderful day. Okay, bye.